she never expected that doing the right thing would cost her everything. And she definitely never expected that the same people who fired her yesterday would be standing frozen in fear when she walked back in today as their new boss. If you've ever been underestimated, disrespected, or pushed aside for simply treating people with dignity, then buckle up, because this is one of the most satisfying revenge stories you'll ever hear. And before we dive in, if you believe kindness should never be punished and justice always finds its way, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into this story. Megan never considered herself special. She didn't cause problems, didn't talk back, didn't stir drama. She worked hard, minded her business, and treated people the way she wished someone would treat her. For almost 3 years, Lancaster Grill had been her second home, a tiny diner tucked between a gas station and a laundromat on the east side of Columbus, the kind of place where coffee cups never emptied, breakfast rush never stopped, and regulars showed up before the sun did. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't well-paying, and management barely cared whether the place ran smoothly. But Megan stayed. She stayed because rent was high, because hours were steady, and because her younger brother Evan, who didn't know she helped with his textbooks and groceries, needed her support. She stayed because she believed kindness mattered, even in a place where kindness was treated like weakness. And if she had learned anything, it was this: not everyone shared that belief. Beth, a senior waitress, treated customers based on one thing: how much she thought they would tip. Jason, a newer server, avoided tables that didn't look profitable. Management pretended not to notice. Or maybe they noticed and simply didn't care. Megan hated it, but she stayed quiet. She had spoken up once, and Beth shut her down with one line she never forgot: "You don't get paid extra for being a saint, Megan." After that, Megan learned to keep her head down. Until one Wednesday evening. The dinner rush had ended, and the restaurant was finally quiet. Megan was refilling sugar dispensers when the bell over the door jingled. An older black man walked in. Clean clothes, calm posture, worn hands, sharp eyes. He scanned the room, clearly waiting to be acknowledged. Beth never looked up. Jason looked right at him, then turned away. The silence in that restaurant was heavier than anything Megan had felt in months. For a moment, she hesitated. She knew stepping in would paint a target on her back. She knew what her coworkers were like. She knew the culture of this place. But she also knew the look on the man's face, the look of someone giving the world one last chance to prove it wasn't as cruel as he expected. So she moved. "Evening, sir," she said warmly, grabbing a menu. "Just you tonight?" His expression softened. "Yes, ma'am." She led him to a booth, got him coffee, recommended the salmon, and treated him exactly the way every customer deserved to be treated. Behind her, Beth muttered something sharp. Jason shot her a smirk. Even Tom, the manager, peeked from his office like he wanted to catch Megan doing something wrong. But Megan ignored them. The man thanked her quietly, ate peacefully, and left a generous tip. She had no idea her life had just changed. The next morning, she walked into Lancaster Grill, tired, anxious, and hopeful she was imagining the tension from the night before. But she wasn't. Beth and Jason stood waiting, smirking like they had been rehearsing it. Tom stepped out of his office with a cold expression. "Megan," he said flatly, "come with me." Her stomach dropped. In the tiny office that smelled like burnt coffee, Tom didn't even let her sit. "We're letting you go." The words shattered her. "What? Why? I've been here almost 3 years. I've never been late, never missed a shift." "It's not working out," Tom interrupted, already bored. "This is because of last night, isn't it?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Her kindness had been the crime. She walked out holding her apron in her hands while Beth smirked and Jason pretended to wipe a table he hadn't touched. Humiliation burned in her chest the entire drive home. How would she pay rent? What about her brother? Why did being decent always feel like punishment? Sitting in her car, staring blankly through the windshield, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Hello?" she said weakly. A deep voice responded. "Megan, this is Richard Lawson." She frowned. "I'm sorry, who?" "The man you served last night." Her heartbeat stilled. "Oh, yes, sir. Is everything okay?" "No," he said. "I heard what happened." "Of course he did. Bad news spreads fast there." Yeah, she whispered bitterly. Guess I should have ignored you like everyone else. Richard exhaled. Megan, I wasn't just there for dinner last night. She froze. I was there to see how my employees treat people. Your employees? I own Lancaster Grill. A world stopped. She blinked. I'm sorry, you what? I own the chain, he repeated. And last night told me everything I needed to know. Her breath shook. So, you saw what happened? I saw everything. Silence pulsed between them. Then Richard said something she never expected. I let them fire you on purpose. Her stomach flipped. You what? I needed to know if the problem was just bad service or deeper. Their actions told me everything. Her shock turned to anger. So you sacrificed me to test them? It wasn't fair, he admitted, but now I know who I can trust. She didn't speak. And then he said the words that changed her future. I want you to come back, as the new manager. The world went blurry. I fired Tom this morning, effective immediately. She covered her mouth with her hand. Tom? Fired? Beth and Jason would... Megan, Richard added gently, I need someone who treats people the right way. Someone who actually understands what a fair workplace looks like. I don't know if I can do this, she whispered. Yes, you can, he said firmly. And you should. She thought about Beth's smirk, Jason's judgment, Tom's coldness, 3 years of swallowing her voice. And then she straightened her spine. I'll do it. The next morning, she didn't walk into Lancaster Grill as a waitress. She walked in as the one thing her coworkers never imagined she'd become. The boss. Beth saw her first, her face twisted in confusion. What the hell are you doing here? She snapped. You'll find out, Megan said calmly. Then Tom stepped out of his office, already annoyed. Megan, you don't work here anymore. You need to... I believe I can clarify that. A deep voice cut in. The room froze. Richard Lawson stepped inside like a storm in a tailored coat. He moved beside Megan, giving her the kind of respectful nod she had never received from her own manager. Lancaster Grill is undergoing some changes, Richard announced. Effective immediately, Tom. Your position is terminated. Beth gasped. Jason looked like someone punched the air out of him. Richard continued, his voice steady but sharp. Last night, I visited this restaurant as a regular customer, and the only person who treated me with respect was Megan. The silence was suffocating. She is now your new manager. Beth's jaw fell. Jason's fists clenched. A busboy near the kitchen grinned like it was Christmas. Megan leaned lightly on the counter and smiled. Well, she said softly, this is awkward. Beth's face burned with rage. You can't be serious. Oh, I'm very serious, Richard said sharply. If you don't like it, you're free to leave. Jason opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. He needed the job. He wasn't going anywhere. And for the first time ever, everyone in that restaurant looked at Megan with something they had never given her before. Respect. Over the next few weeks, everything changed. Toxic staff quit. The good ones stepped up. Customers noticed the difference. The diner started filling again, not with tension, but with warmth. Megan had turned a broken workplace into something whole. One afternoon, Richard stopped by and asked, "How's my investment doing?" Megan looked around at the busy, happy restaurant and smiled. "I think we're finally becoming what this place was supposed to be." Richard nodded. "I knew you'd do great." And she had. Because sometimes doing the right thing gets you punished. And sometimes it gets you promoted into the position they never wanted you to have. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button, subscribe for more real-life revenge stories, and tell us in the comments, what's the most satisfying comeback you've ever witnessed?